Hi everyone, Sanibonani Ninjani, and I'd like to welcome you to the first lesson in the CIPC DIY course. I am your instructor, Samkelo Makoto, aka Chief Kasi Economist, but you can also call me the government guy. In this first lesson of our training, I will be taking you through a course overview and give you an idea of what to expect throughout the CIPC DIY course. The first thing I'd like to touch on is the importance of knowledge and the theory that in life we actually pay for not knowing. You know, it's so funny how as a startup entrepreneur, you can find yourself paying for not knowing and for a lack of information. This is not something that's limited to startup entrepreneurs, but it's something that's the norm in common society and in modern society. And it's somewhat a fairly simple and easy thing to understand and notice. For example, you could purchase legal services such as drafting a contract for your business or for your personal finances and pay a legal expert a predetermined fee for this service. You also pay a doctor to help you with your medical condition and to maintain your health. You could also pay an entrepreneur, such as a photographer, to take quality pictures during your graduation, during a wedding, or a special party you're hosting. So this is not something that's out of the ordinary, and it's been done for many years before. Although this may be true, in a world where the internet is changing the way people learn and the amount of information available online, suddenly give you an idea that paying for a service provider to register a company for yourself, for example, is not the best decision you can make as a small business owner. Avoiding startup costs is essential when you're starting your business. And furthermore, if you don't know how to register your own company through the CIPC, you can find yourself paying a service provider anywhere between 400 rands and 2,800 rands or 3,000 rands for services such as registering your company, getting your BA certificate, opening a bank account, as well as getting a tax clearance, and creating a basic website and getting a letterhead, as well as some templates for your startup. And the amount you pay will obviously be dependent on the package you choose. So for example, if you only choose a company registration package, service providers usually charge you about 400 rands to 600 rands for a company registration alone. But if you want to be compliant as a company, you obviously have to have your BA certificate, you have to have your bank account, as well as your tax clearance. And you also have to have your branding material such as your website and have those letterheads. So you pay about 3,000 rands, so about 4,000 rands for like starting your own business. And this is basically still an idea. You haven't even opened the doors for customers and you're paying so much money. What makes me mad the most is that this creates an artificial barrier to entrepreneurship, where people say they can't start their businesses because they don't have the money or the funding to start. Athi umuntu anginayo imali yokuregister company, angikwazi ukwenza tax clearance, angikwazi ukwenza website, ngingikwazi ukuqala. But if you do all of these things yourselves, you can actually save yourself more than 3,000 rands in startup costs. And the most puzzling thing I can say for Nami is that the pure definition of entrepreneurship actually disregards the amount of resources you own when you start your business. In fact, it identifies entrepreneurs as people who are successful and have successful businesses without taking regard into the amount of resources they currently own and control. So this means that if you don't have big bucks, it doesn't mean that you can't start a big business. It's all in your mind, basically. You have to find ways of starting your business and sourcing funding along the way. And being proactive in doing this will essentially mean that your plans are actually in motion. Like, you're not sitting down and waiting for the government or waiting for whoever, or the mayor of the internet, or the mayor of whoever or wherever. Starting your journey means that you are in motion and you are having faith in your journey that probably you get funding, or probably that you will become a better entrepreneur over time. But if you stand and sit and wait for funding and think that you will reach a stage or time where someone will come with their funding to you, most probably you'll never get that. So the CIPC DIY course gives you a DIY approach to entrepreneurship, and it empowers you with the knowledge and skills of how to do the same tasks you could actually pay for. You could actually pay a business consulting firm. So in module 1 of the course, I'll introduce you to CIPC e-services, and I'll show you how the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission, which was known as CIPRO before, can help you launch transactions such as name reservations, as well as filing annual returns for a company. For example, at the time of this recording, a name reservation fee is around 50 rands, while the company registration fee is around 125 rands. So in light of this, in this module, I'll actually show you how to open a CIPC customer account on the CIPC website, and I'll also show you how to deposit funds into the CIPC customer account so you can launch transactions such as registering your company or reserving a name for your company. The first lesson is the course overview, as I'm taking you through this lesson. And after this, I'll basically tell you why you actually need to open this CIPC customer account and show you how to deposit funds into the CIPC customer account. Then we move on to module 2 of the course. In module 2, I'll basically be taking you through step-by-step tutorials and showing you how to register a company on the CIPC website, how to register a company through the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. So, CIPC has 3 different ways that you can register a company on the CIPC website, and these methods are basically a company registration without reserving a name and using the enterprise number as the name. So you can register your own company on the CIPC website for 125 rands, and that company can use its name, the CK number, as the name of the company when it's trading. So you're not required to have a company name. The second method is registering a company while you lodge a name reservation as part of the process. So in this example, what you do is that you would lodge your company registration, and when you come to the step where you are required to reserve a name, then you would reserve a name as part of this company registration, and you would lodge those 2 transactions together. The third and final method is registering a company and attach an already reserved name to your company registration. So in this instance, you would find that you actually had reserved a name before for a company registration, and then once you're registering your company, when you come to the process where they ask you about the name reservation, then you can attach this name that you've already reserved before. You'll be learning how to use e-services to register your own company, and if you follow all of these tutorials, you'll know how to register a company through these 3 different methods. The first lesson I'll take you through is called the 5 reasons why you should register a company. This is very important because some people just register a company for the sake of registering a company, and they don't think about the legal ramifications of registering your own company. Hence why in this lesson, I'll be taking you through the disadvantages and the advantages of registering a company, and the practicalities of actually registering a company, and the nice things about registering your own company. Because one of the nice things about registering a company, I can say, is that you can actually open a business account and be able to transact and buy goods online. So I'll make an example about Lokshin Online Learning Academy. I use a platform called the Rainmaker platform, which enables me to have a learning management system that allows me to put up courses as you are viewing this course now. And also it allows me to take payments of goods and services, or of my digital goods as well as my digital services. So if you buy consulting on my company, or if you buy this course, then it allows me to take payments of your credit card or of your bank card and process this payment. I would then be able to do this with my bank account, basically, because, for example, I didn't have a job for a long time, and when you don't have a job, you don't really have access to like bank cards, like gold accounts and so on, and you can't do transactions such as international transactions and online transactions. So it's important for you to register a company so that you can purchase services abroad if you want to purchase services abroad, or purchase services online. And also, when you purchase these services, or even if you purchase educational content, just like you purchase this educational content, you can capitalize all of those expenses and all of those costs as part of your training and development. Because you have to understand that in business, you can quantify and justify all of your expenses. If you put up this CIPC DIY course, this payment for this course, as training and development for yourself as the director and owner of your business, that's fine. That's actually a good thing to do, because it shows that you've been growing. You didn't know all of the things when you started. You needed some training and development along the way, and you capitalized your purchase of the CIPC DIY course as your training and development course. In essence, having a registered company in South Africa means that you are registering a legal subject that is subject to the South African law. Your company can open a bank account, which means it's entering into a legal agreement with a bank, and you are an agent of this company. So for me, this was very important, because it was frustrating for me knowing that I couldn't do things online, and I couldn't basically buy online services such as the Rainmaker platform. It was frustrating for me, because if you're a student, for example, you're not getting paid, and you basically getting NSFAS, or you're getting your bursary money. In that instance, it's quite hard to use your debit card to make some purchases and so on. So if you've registered your own company and you have a bank account for this company, your bank card opens up a whole new world of transactions you can actually do for your business. And the nice part is you're actually tracking these transactions on your business account, and these transactions can be found on your bank account statements, and then you can capitalize these transactions and so on, and it shows that you've been tracking them over time. Even if you haven't sold anything in your business, but when it comes time to actually check out or see the amount of capital you've invested in your business, you can actually pull out your bank statement and see the amounts that you've spent, and then capitalize these amounts and come up with the final amount of capital you've contributed to your business. I think that's value. So those are one of the 5 reasons why you should register your own company. But I'll go in depth in those in module 2 of this course, where I show you how to register your own company. Then we move on to module 3, and I'll be taking you through some compliance and additional e-services on the CIPC. So registering a company has some legal consequences, and some compliance requirements are also put in place. So if you have a company that is registered, or you are about to register your own company, or you have friends that have businesses and registered companies, you know that every year they tell you about filing CIPC annual returns for their companies on the anniversary of their company's registration. So CIPC requires you to file annual returns every year on the anniversary of a company's registration. So if your company was registered in 31 March, for example, every year on the 31st of March, you'll be required to pay an annual return. So, for example, if you make 100,000, let's say in a year, or if you leave your business as in trade in a year, you pay about 100 rands to file annual returns on the CIPC website. And if you are late in paying and you don't pay on the 31st of March, for example, and you pay on the end of April, then you'd pay a penalty fee of 50 rands. So you pay that 100 rands plus that late penalty fee of 50 rands. Over and above that, I'll also show you how to complete some additional e-services on the CIPC website that are very helpful. For example, if you have a problem with the CIPC, I'll show you how to lodge a query on the CIPC website and send them an email, because that's the best way they can actually answer. On the phone, they're becoming better and better now, but calling people at the CIPC, so sending them an inquiry over email, that's very important, and that's something that can actually help you. I'll also show you how to check your transaction status. So, for example, if you register a company, or if you reserved a name, or launched any transaction, or change a director's name, or change a director in your company, or change your company's name, you can check on the transaction status of that particular transaction. So if you ulindile ukade company ngiregister kwenzakalani, ngabe seregisterekile ngabe serejectiwe yini, what you can do is that there's a tracking number you get for every transaction you do. So you can copy that tracking number and paste it on the e-service that shows you how to check your transaction status, and then we'll check out in terms of that reference number, we'll see how is your transaction status. Is it done? Is it not done? Is it rejected? And so on. These are very important, because when you're starting and when you're registering your own company, sometimes it does why aren't these people answering me, and so on. So I'll show you how to do that. Also, in this module, I'll show you how to extend your name reservation. So if you've reserved a name on the CIPC website, it basically is valid for about 6 months, and after 6 months your name reservation lapses. So if you want to keep that name for over 6 months, let's say you're in the 6th month and it's about to end, and you know you're not about to register this company, but you want to keep this name reserved, so I'll show you how to extend your name reservation. Over and above that, I'll also show you how to actually transfer your name reservation. So if, for example, you and your friend have customer accounts at CIPC, and you reserve the name on your own customer account, and you want to transfer this name to your friend's customer account, I'll show you how to transfer a reserved name from your account to someone else's account. I'll also show you how to amend your director's details. So, for example, if maybe you had a director, which is you as well as your mom and your sister, but it turns out that your mom and your sister are not keen on doing business and everything, I'll show you how you could actually remove them on your memorandum of incorporation or on your company as directors. Or if you actually want to add them, if you started your business and you see, no, you know what, I want to add my mom, or I want to add my sister, or I want to add another partner, or whatever. If you want to add someone also like in your business, I'll show you how to amend your director's details and add a director or remove a director. And another important thing I'll also show you how to do is how to change your address on the CIPC memorandum of incorporation or on your company's memorandum of incorporation. So when you're starting out, for example, I know that what I did is that because I didn't have offices and I'm running an online business, I put down my mom's or my home's address as my business address, because I knew that if you were to send me something at my home address, I'd receive it, obviously, because it's there, it would be safe. So in terms of my domicilium, that's what they say in law. I don't even know how I don't even know if I pronounce that well. It's Latin though, but it means where you stay, or where if people want to serve you with papers, if people want to serve you with contract papers, or if there's a court order for you, they need to know where you stay. So at the beginning of your business, when you don't have offices, you can actually use your flat if you have a flat, or if you're residing with your parents, you can actually use the address for your parents' house and so on as your business address. And once you are moving now, let's say you're moving now, you have your own place or you're changing places and so on, you need to also change your address for your business so that if someone wants to serve you with papers, they can serve you with papers and the correct address. They can send you the correct papers at the correct address and so on. So I'll show you how to change your address on the CIPC website. That's about it. And another important thing I'll show you how to do is to change the financial year end. So if it happens that you want to change the financial year end of your company from around December and change it to be June, end of 20, or to change it to be 28 February, I'll show you how to do that also on the CIPC website. Then we'll head over to module 4 of the course. And this is the fourth and final module of the course. This module is basically designed to introduce you to the South African company law so you can have a good understanding of the legal consequences of starting your own business. I'll first introduce you to the Companies Act of 2008, as well as introduce you to the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. In that instance, I'll tell you how the introduction of the Companies Act of 2008 actually led to the creation of the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. I'll also be teaching you about the Black Economic Empowerment, or the BE Act, as well as the Tax Act of South Africa. All of these acts are something that you should be compliant with and so on. As I say, this training will start you from the foundations of the Companies Act of 2008, as well as talk about the Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. I'll also touch on other important legislation that is created by the South African Parliament that affects you as a business. Because in essence, at the end of the day, the government is in the economy and it creates legislation through the South African legislature, the South African Parliament. And this legislation affects the running of your business. So I'll be explaining to you how you can maneuver around legislation and also how to comply with different legislation that is passed by the South African government. As an entrepreneur, you essentially have some legal consequences that you must deal with. The decision that you took to be an entrepreneur affects your personal finances. It affects your marriage if you're married. It affects everything in your life. So you have to have everything in order and minimize your risk. Because we all know that in business, sometimes it can go south. It can go really bad. So it's quite important for you in the beginning to have a risk assessment in terms of your personal finances, and also a risk assessment in terms of the legal consequences and the legal risk you face as an entrepreneur, as well as safeguarding your assets and so on for your family's sake, and for your sake as well, but for your family's sake, because you don't want to come back another day and be telling your mom or be telling your wife or your husband, ukuthi, hey, Sandra Sam, ayikushubile. Now, abantu bengihlasela lana, I'm having companies coming to me wanting their money and I can't pay. The business can't pay, basically. And if it would happen that you are running a sole trader, for example, and you want running your business as a private company, your liabilities wouldn't be limited, and these businesses would come to your personal assets and take things in your family and take assets in your family and liquidate your assets, basically, so that they can cover their debt. And if you're married in communities of property, it's much worse. They can take even your wife's things. So these are things to think about. Even when you get married, you would say, no, in communities of property. Let's go out of communities of property, for example, because I know that I'm in business, and if it happens that things go south, you know that you're safe, you have your assets, and we're safe, and we can go carry on. If my things get frozen and so on, anything can happen in business. These are things you should think about. It's not like you'll be involved in fraud and your assets will be frozen and so on. But you can be investigated for anything and everything. That's what you should put in your mind. Anything can happen. So you have to think about these things even when you get married, even when you start your own business and everything. So the law affects your decisions and the law affects how you live. So that's basically it on the CIPC DIY course. I've taken you through a course overview and explained to you what to expect throughout this whole CIPC DIY course. I'll be teaching you about how to transact with CIPC through the CIPC e-services platform and complete transactions such as registering your company, filing annual returns, reserving names on the CIPC website, changing directors' details, extending your name reservation, all of the likes, all of the CIPC services. I'll be teaching you how to do all of those services for yourself and by yourself. In closing, the most important thing in this is that you're actually learning a new skill. You're learning how to do it yourself. You're learning how to register your own company. You're learning how to interact and transact with the CIPC e-services suite. You know that you can actually flip this now and be the one who's charging people for not knowing. As I said, I don't blame anyone who charges you for not knowing, because you don't know and you're sitting down and you're not looking for information. So now that once you've had this information and you know how to register your company, you know how to transact on the CIPC, you know how to search for names on the CIPC, you know how to, for example, do a name search or a company search. If, for example, there's a number or there's a company that you want to search, if it's still registered and it's not deregistered, you can take their CK number and search for that company on the CIPC website. Or if you want to reserve a name, but you want to check if this name is not reserved as yet, or if there's a company that has a similar name, or if you don't want to infringe on someone else's company name, you can actually search on the CIPC website, do a name search and so on, or do a company search on the CIPC website. All of these transactions you can actually do for yourself, and people charge you for doing all of these transactions for you. So once you know how to do all of these things through taking the CIPC DIY course, you can actually charge people for not knowing. So that could be very nice. Or you could share this information for free with them. I don't know. Or you can help them register their own companies and everything. Or you can actually charge them for not knowing, because you've taken the time and you've actually paid your money to actually get this course and to know how to use CIPC services. So that's the CIPC DIY course for DIY entrepreneurs who want to do it for themselves, taking their entrepreneurship journey by the scruff of the neck and doing it for themselves. I salute you guys. I salute you for starting the DIY entrepreneurs. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next lesson in the CIPC DIY course. Enjoy, guys.